Welcome everyone to reading Bhagavad Gita as it is. My name is Brajalalana, and I've been studying Bhagavad Gita for over 15 years. Bhagavad Gita is the ancient Vedic wisdom book, which is over 5,000 years old. It was spoken by the Lord Himself. Bhagavat means God, Gita, spoken. So this is a scripture, a wisdom book that was spoken by the Lord 5,000 years ago. And it speaks about life, karma, soul. It covers the most important subjects of life. It answers all of the questions that a person may have on the deepest level. And it opens up the uh, very confidential information, such as who we are actually by nature, what is our sense of living and existing, what is the purpose of life. And it makes, the life of the person who reads Bhagavad Gita becomes fulfilled because this is the only book that answers those deep spiritual questions about one's identity, sense of life, self realization, self fulfillment. And before we begin, let's do the necessary prayers. And you can do it with me. If you have Bhagavad Gita at home, the prayers are on page number 1 in the introduction section. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Translation: I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So the spiritual master is the one who brings the knowledge, who delivers the knowledge. If we want to know about, if we want to learn something properly, we need to get this knowledge from someone who has realized it both in practice and through the education. So in this case, when we speak about Vedic wisdom, this is the spiritual master who delivers the knowledge which comes from the disciplic succession. Disciplic succession means that that knowledge was coming to us from Krishna himself, and Krishna from Sanskrit means God. So it comes from God through certain chain of the teachers directly to us in the form of Bhagavad Gita. Next prayer. When Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. So if we get the mercy of the spiritual teacher, it means that we are getting the mercy of the Lord himself. Vandeham Shiguro Shivitapada Kamalam Shigurun Vaishnavam Cha Shirupam Sagrajatam Sahaganarathunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatkutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Radhunatha Dasa and Radhunatha Bhakta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Shivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Shri Krishna, along with their associates, Sri Lalita and Vishaka. And here are all of the saint personalities, exalted personalities that bless us with the spiritual knowledge. And by offering them obeisances, we're actually also praying to them and asking them for their blessings to help us to gain that knowledge, to understand that knowledge and realize ourselves both spiritually and materially. Next prayer. Hey Krishna Karuna Sina Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopi Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Oh, my dear Lord Krishna, ocean of mercy, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You're the master of the cowherd man and the lover of the gopis, especially Shrimati Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So, Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and Shrimati Radharani is his love potency, is his Srimati Radharani represent the love of God. So therefore, when we offer our obeisances and ask for the mercy from Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, we are asking them to fill us in with the knowledge on how to love, how to serve, and how to act as an instrument of God in our lives and in the lives of others. I offer my respectful obeisances to Shrimati Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You're the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. And the mantra for this is Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhane Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Vancha Kalvarubhyascha Kripasantipya Vacha Patitanam Pavanepyu Vaishnavepyu Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. So the Vaishnava devotees are the people who have realized the absolute truth. And the absolute truth consists of three aspects, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. I know I'm speaking Sanskrit terms, which probably sound unfamiliar to you, but during the course of Bhagavad Gita, you will understand them better. In a nutshell, Brahman means the effulgence of the Lord. Like when we speak about the sun has the light. So that light that comes out of the Lord is called Brahman. So this is one aspect of the absolute truth. We start realizing the Lord from that effulgence. The second realization of the absolute truth is Paramatma. And Paramatma is the presence of the Lord in our life, in our heart. Okay, it's a material it's a manifestation of the Lord in the material world. So we are never alone. The Lord is always with us in the form of Paramatma. And Paramatma is also called super soul. If we are individual souls, we are small particles of the big whole, complete whole, right? So the Paramatma is the super soul. And the difference between Paramatma, which is the super soul, and the individual soul is in the one of the facts is that Paramatma remembers everything, past, present, and future. The individual soul doesn't remember. We don't remember what we've done at the same time, the same day, when we were, for example, 1 year old. But Paramatma remembers. Paramatma knows our past lives, our past lives, our past times, and we are unable to know that. And Paramatma is the observer of our thoughts, desires. Super soul approves our desires according to our karma. Okay, and that's how things happen. It's a pretty complex subject. I don't want to overload you with this information, but as we move on, you will understand how this process is explained in detail so that you gain a deeper understanding. Let's continue with the prayers. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. I offer my respectful obeisances to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasa and all others in the line of devotion. And in the line of devotion, we can also say in the line of disciplic succession. Shri Krishna Chaitanya is the avatar of the Lord who comes to earth, and he came 500 years ago. he brought the mercy in the form of Maha Mantra to us. Maha means big, mind, tra, purification, mantra. And the power of the Maha Mantra is to purify our mind and our consciousness and our existence with the help of the sound vibration of the mantra. Maha Mantra sounds like that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But the word Hare is the name of Radharani, and Radharani is the potency of love, of service, of devotion. So when we say Hare, we're actually asking for that potency of the Lord to give us the mercy to approach the Lord and to serve Him with our love and devotion. It's not possible to do it without Radharani. It's the same as it's not possible to love anyone without loving. So, therefore, we are pronouncing Hare. And then Krishna from Sanskrit means God, but Krishna also means almighty, all beautiful, all powerful, and etc. Everything beautiful, everything magnificent that exists, that we see and don't see, is part of the Lord, is a part of His manifestation, and He's inconceivable. He can be big and He can be small, He can be far and He can be close. So there is nothing which is impossible for the Lord. So therefore, when we say Hare Krishna, oh dear Lord, with the help of, with the mercy of Radharani, please engage me in your service. And why are we asking? Why is it important for us to be engaged in the service of the Lord? Because, as Bhagavad Gita will be teaching us, we are part and parcels of the Lord. Our nature is spiritual, first of all. We are spirit souls. How to understand that we are spirit souls? All we know that we have this body. And when the soul leaves the body, what happens with the body? The body actually is not alive. And that process, when the soul leaves the body, is called death. Therefore, what makes the body alive is the living entity or the soul or spiritual energy which maintains that body, okay, through the consciousness. And consciousness is the symptom of the soul. It's compared with the sun that illuminates the body. And when the sun illuminates the body is functioning. And we know the term, somebody lost the consciousness, right? So when the body is not moving and not functioning properly. So when the soul leaves the body completely, the body is just the matter. It's just the combination of material elements. And those material elements being combined, they represent the matter, but the matter itself, without spiritual energy, is not alive. Okay, so therefore, what makes it alive is the spirit soul. Therefore, spiritual nature, which is our nature, is primary, and material nature is secondary. Now, why do we need to know that? That first of all, we are spirit souls. Once we know that we are spirit souls, what happens? We start understanding that we are eternal, that we never die, and that we never get born. And this is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita Chapter 2. And we will get to that. Now I'm just giving you a small summary of the Gita. And why do we need to know the quality of the material nature? Why do we have this material nature? If we are spirit souls, why do we carry this body and maintain it every day on the spiritual energy by providing the spiritual energy to the matter? Because we live in a material world where we need to function. Okay? And this functioning, how do we know how should we function? What should we do? Being spiritual, we understand that we are parts and parcels of the Lord. It's like if we say The hand is a part of the body. When the hand is separated from the body, the hand becomes useless. Even if the hand thinks, oh, I'm cool, I can do my own things, but the hand loses the supply of energy, nutrients, if it's not connected to the body. Same with the spirit soul. If the soul is not connected to the Lord through the consciousness, then the person feels empty, useless, and lost. That's why we need to understand that, first of all, we are spirit souls, and our nature and our not only goal, but life and soul actually is to stay connected through the consciousness with the Lord. How to do that? Bhagavad Gita will teach us. Now, why do we have this material body? In order to serve the Lord, in order to serve the purpose why we are here. And Bhagavad Gita will explain how to understand that purpose. Each of us is an individual, and all of us have a purpose in life. So the Lord creates multiple movable and immovable creatures. Human beings are considered movable because our body moves, right? And if we compare, for example, what is the purpose of things that are created, such as, for example, let's say a table. So the table is created to hold things. Or what is the, how to say, purpose of sugar? To make things sweet. And in Sanskrit, it's called dharma. Why are you existing? What is your dharma? So the purpose of existence for human beings is to realize themselves as being spiritual, as spiritual living entities. In other words, our purpose is our purpose of life is self-realization. Therefore, anything that we do, work, family, education, should help us to fulfill that purpose. If it doesn't help us, life may feel useless and empty. And I am, being a life coach, have consulted multiple people who are established materially, financially, socially, but feel empty internally. Why? Because that knowledge is missing. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita gives us this knowledge, and it's not a religion, I have to tell you right away. It's a science of God, and it will be spoken by Srila Prabhupada, who brought this knowledge to us and translated it into multiple languages. Okay, in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. And maybe actually I'll read it to you right away. So it is said at the text number 1, chapter 1. In purport, Bhagavad Gita is the widely read theistic science summarized in Gita Mahatmya, glorification of the Gita. There it says that one should read Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna and try to understand it without personally motivated interpretations. Why is it important? There are actually 400 versions of Bhagavad Gita, and out of all of them, only Bhagavad Gita as it is, this version, is academically approved. Okay? So Gita has to be studied as it is. And Srila Prabhupada, who brought this knowledge to us and actually made it available all over the world, represented Bhagavad Gita in his commentary as it is, which was again approved academically and studied in world-known universities all over the world. It also read by multiple people, famous people such as Thoreau, Emerson, and Gandhi. You can see it at the back, and many other famous people are reading Bhagavad Gita to gain that self-realization. Okay. Now let's also pray to Srila Prabhupada. By his mercy, we actually have access to English version of Bhagavad Gita. It was available only in Sanskrit, and Srila Prabhupada translated it into English, and afterwards was translated into other languages existing in the world. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Guravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So when we respect, give obeisances to our teachers, to the elders that pass that knowledge to us, we open our heart and our mind to accepting that knowledge with blessings. Okay? All right, so let's begin with the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I will not be reading the Sanskrit. If you're reading it at home by yourself, please also read Sanskrit. If you don't know how to read Sanskrit, at the end of the book, there is instruction how to read it, and it's actually pretty easy. Since Bhagavad Gita is a song of God, you can also find how to sing those verses in Sanskrit on YouTube. Just check or try to find recitation of Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit and English and chant it together, sing it together, and you will see how enlightening it is and how mind purifying it is. Today and further, we will be reading just English translation, and I will be briefly giving you the explanation what it is about. So let's begin. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled the place of pilgrimage at Kurukṣetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So in order to understand how Bhagavad Gita actually came in place, how it was born, you need to know the story called Mahabharata. Maha means big, Bharata, earth, the land, right? And in the past, by 1,000 years ago, there was just one government, one land, one king, like one government, I would say, not one king, just one government, right? And so Dhritarashtra is the king, and he is blind, and he has 100 sons. And one of them is Duryodhana, with whom Dhritarashtra has very strong emotional attachment. I wouldn't say connection, but attachment. Why is it attachment? Because Dhritarashtra was trying not to notice the negative actions of his son that actually caused a big war, which was called Mahabharata. And the war was happening at the Kurukṣetra, and Kurukṣetra is a holy place, and probably you know that it's not good spiritually and materially to fight at any holy place. At the places of pilgrimage, people go there for self-purification, so nothing bad can happen there. Okay? Now, when the war is going to happen at the place of pilgrimage, Dhritarashtra, who had multiple chances to prevent that war, didn't do it, and now he's asking his assistant Sanjaya, he's asking what his sons are going to do with the sons of Pandu assembled at the place of pilgrimage. Although he knows that it's going to be a fight, he's still asking this question. Why? Because he understands that it's not appropriate act for his sons to fight with the opposite party, who are the Pandavas. First of all, right? At the pilgrimage place, and secondly, he knows that that war shouldn't have happened because the reason for the war was the evil actions of his son that the son didn't admit, and his father neglected them as well. Okay, now from this first text, you can feel or you can see how the doubts are, speaking for themselves and revealing, the evidence that something wrong is going to happen. Okay, so let's continue. Text number 2, Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in a military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. So King Duryodhana is the son of Dhritarashtra, who was not that honest and showed a lot of actions of cruelty towards an exalted woman who was a devotee of the Lord and towards his own brothers. So now he is looking over the army and would like to talk to his teacher. And his teacher is also the teacher of the opposite party. So what is he saying? Oh, my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligence, disciples, the sons of Drupada. So now he is accepting that the opposite army as expertly arranged. And he is emphasizing by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada, which means that his teacher was also training his enemy. And Duryodhana is emphasizing it. Text number 4. Here is this army, many heroic bowmen, equal and fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada. So again, he's admitting that there are great warriors. There are also great heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purajit, Kuntibhoja, and Saidya. There are mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttama Uja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. So what is Duryodhana doing? He is comparing the two armies. And psychologically, you can understand that if comparison happens, it means that one who compares himself or herself with anyone has doubts within, because self-confidence doesn't require any comparisons. It doesn't need any support from the outside that someone is worse to feel good about yourself. Okay, now from the text number 7, Duryodhana is showing his mood. He is not confident enough. And again, why? Because he knows that he's not acting in the right way. Text number 8. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and the sons of Samadatta called Purishrava, who are always victorious in the battle. So Duryodhana mentions the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. All of them were victorious. Text number 9. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. So here is important words that Duryodhana is saying, that these heroes are prepared to lay down their lives for his sake. So here's the motivation: lay down the lives. In other words, he's already speaking that they will die. And the purpose of their dying will be for the sake of Duryodhana. It's not for the sake of a high goal for God or something like that, right? It's for Duryodhana, which shows that the motivation was very selfish, for my sake. All right. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma. And the Bhishma is an exalted personality who was inconquerable and he had the blessings that he could choose his death. And now he is fighting on the side of Duryodhana, not because he wanted, but because he thought he had to, because he promised a while ago that he will be protecting the government, I would say. Whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. And Bhima, all of the Pandavas actually, they are the kids of the demigods, also exalted personalities. But the main thing that Duryodhana is missing, that Krishna, God himself, is with Pandavas, is on the side of Pandavas. Why didn't he understand that wherever God is, there is a victory? Because later on, Krishna will say that he doesn't open himself to those who are envious of him. He opens himself only to his devotees. And Duryodhana was not his devotee. He was the one who was envious of the devotees of the Lord. And the main character here in Bhagavad Gita is Arjuna, who is the best friend and the devotee of the Lord, to whom Krishna will speak Bhagavad Gita starting from chapter 2. Text number 11. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your perspective strategic points of entrance into the planets of the army. So he's showing again his concerns that the teacher has to do everything to support grandfather Bhishma again. Why? Because grandfather Bhishma is unconquerable. So Duryodhana is relying on his grandfather in his victory. Then Bhishma, the great, valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making the sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. And behind those words, you can see that Bhishma, who was also a devotee of the Lord, although he was fighting on the side of the of Duryodhana's army, he actually, when he was creating that sound, right, the roar of a lion, it is said here that he was giving Duryodhana a joy. In other words, he was kind of trying to support Duryodhana in his future, to support him, to provide him kind of, support, because Bhishma understands what expects Duryodhana. And let's see what Srila Prabhupada is saying here in the purport. The grandsire of the Kuru dynasty could understand the inner meaning of the heart of his grandson Duryodhana, and out of his natural compassion for him, he tried to cheer him by blowing the conch shell very loudly, befitting his position as a lion. Indirectly, by the symbolism of the conch shell, he informed his depressed grandson Duryodhana that he had no chance of victory in the battle because the Supreme Personality, Lord Krishna, was on the other side. But still, it was his duty to conduct the fight, and no pains would be spared in that connection. So Bhishma was fulfilling his duty, although he knew that the victory will be on the other side. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. Text 14. On the other side, Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sound and their transcendental conch shells. And the words that are used in this text, transcendental conch shells. Transcendental means they are above the material conceptions. Transcendental means they don't belong they are inconceivable, okay? And when they're blowing their transcendental conch shells, it is to be understood that it's already a sign of a victory. Text number 15. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajaya Janya, Arjuna blew the Devadatta, Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. So what Srila Prabhupada is saying here, Lord Krishna is referred to as Hrishikesha in this verse because he is the owner of the senses. So this is a very important sentence. He is the owner of the senses. All of us have senses. There are 5 main senses that are active, such as vision, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. And we think that we are the owners of those senses, and the satisfaction of those senses depend on us. And the main the sixth sense organ is the mind. So we are thinking, if we satisfy our senses, if we look at things that we like, if we smell things that we like, if we eat things that we like, our mind will be happy. But what is missing here? We don't know that actually our senses belong to the Lord. And that's why the Lord is called Hrishikesha, the one who is the owner of the senses of all living beings. What does it mean for us? It means that no matter how much we try to satisfy our senses without focusing on satisfying the senses of the Lord, we will lose because our senses belong to the Lord. Okay, it's like if you look at the roots of a tree, the roots of a tree belong to the tree. Okay, if we think these are my roots and try to do with them whatever you want, what's going to happen? The tree will die. So the roots of the tree belong to the tree. And if you take care in the way that tree needs that care, that is appropriate for the tree will be happy and will give you good, fruits. But if we don't, then the tree will die. So if we misuse our senses in our mind, we will feel empty. And the emptiness of the mind reveals itself in the form of anxiety, fear, depression, unhealthy dependencies, addictions, and etc. So this is a very important point here that Srila Prabhupada is making, that Lord Sri Krishna is referred as Hrishikesha in this verse because he is the owner of the senses, and the living entities are parts and parcels of him, and therefore the senses of the living entities are also parts and parcels of his senses. Now the question is how to satisfy the senses of the Lord so that the parts and parcels of his senses are also satisfied, so that we can feel it. So the whole Bhagavad Gita will be about it. That satisfaction, that action to satisfy the sense of the Lord is called devotional service. And how to do it is by engaging our senses in the activities that make the Lord happy. And what makes the Lord happy? The simple things, I will tell you. Reading about him. We are reading Bhagavad Gita now. You're using your senses. You're using your hearing sense. You're looking at me. If you look at Bhagavad Gita, you will be using your senses again in the service of the Lord. You're using the mind in the service of the Lord when you think about him, when you learn those texts about him, when you speak about the stories to someone, when you pray the Maha Mantra. Srila Prabhupada recommends that we do 16 rounds of Maha Mantra on a daily basis. And if you want to know how to do that, just find on YouTube Maha Mantra by Srila Prabhupada, and you will hear the chanting. So chant together that Maha Mantra, and that's very pleasing to the Lord because Maha Mantra means, dear Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. Why we asking for that devotional service? First of all, the act of devotional service, the act of the satisfying the senses of the Lord. When the senses of the Lord are satisfied, we are automatically happy. If you pour the water into the roots, the tree is happy. If you pour the water onto the leaves and the roots are not getting the water, what happens with the tree? The tree dies. So we need to put the water in the right place. We need to direct our action into the right place towards the Lord. Okay. And we can do it through our work, through our daily activities. We can cook. When we cook, understanding that whatever we are cooking is given to us by the Lord. When we do our job, we can connect that activity with the Lord by thinking, I'm doing this job for the satisfaction of the Lord because He gave me the senses. He gave me the eyes, the mind, the intelligence, the hearing process, the talking. So I'm using it in the way to satisfy Him. And further in Bhagavad Gita, you will hear what satisfies the Lord, what He calls knowledge and what is ignorance, what is recommended, right? Because the whole Bhagavad Gita is the message of the Lord through Arjuna to us. Okay, so yeah, let's continue. Text number 16 and 18. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell. The Ananta Vijaya and Nakul and Sahadeva blew the Sugosha and Manipushkaka. That great archer, the king of Kasha, the great fathers, Shikandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, the conquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and other, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. 19th text, the blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and in the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra, which means that they felt the fear. Okay. Text number 20. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in a chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, and the Hanuman is a devotee of Lord Rama and Lord Narasimhadev, who are the manifestations of Lord Krishna in different relationships with his devotees. A lot of people are asking how come that there are so many manifestations of the Lord. Vedic knowledge explains that the Supreme Personality of God is one. So God is one, okay? But God can be in different relationships and fulfilling different jobs, I would say, for the universe. And therefore, dispositions according to which he fulfills those jobs are his different manifestations. It's the same as, let's say, there is a person, a man, right? At home, he's a husband. At the same time, to his children, he's a father. And then at the same time, he's a co-worker. And at the same time, he can be a manager of the company. And at the same time, he's a neighbor. And at the same time, he's a friend. So he has multiple relationships and multiple roles. So those roles have names. Okay, although it's one person, the same person, but in every relationship, he will have the name of his role. In one role, he will be a friend. In another role, he will be a partner. In a different role, he will be a manager, and etc. So same with God. He's one, but in different roles, he has different names in accordance with the relationships and the activity that he performs and the purpose of that activity. Okay. So the flag of Hanuman actually represents another sign that the victory is on the side of Pandavas. Took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra don the military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. So Arjuna is the devotee of the Lord. Now he will be talking to the Lord. Text 21, 22. Arjuna said, O infallible one. Krishna is infallible because he's the Lord. There is no one in human society whom we can call infallible. And there can be different situations where the person can commit a mistake or may feel weak and miserable just because of the disease or old age. So we cannot call human being infallible. The only infallible is the Lord. So Arjuna is saying, "Oh, infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desires to fight, with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms." So Arjuna, although he knows that he will be fighting with his family members, with his brothers, with his uncles, he still wants to see again. Text number 23. "Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra." So the Dhritarashtra is called here even-minded because again, it's from the story of Mahabharata. He did everything he could not to allow the Pandavas to inherit the kingdom by their direct right. So he violated by lies, by lying, and by committing other evil activities in order to not to allow them to have their respectful positions in the kingdom. Sanjaya said, "O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties." And when we are saying that, when it is said here, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot, you can understand that Lord Krishna was actually the driver for Arjuna. And you could be surprised, how come that the Lord is driving his devotee? Okay. But further, if you continue studying the Vedic knowledge, you will learn a wonderful thing about the Lord, that he becomes a devotee of his pure devotee, that he values love so much that he gives himself to the one who loves him and who lives for him. Therefore, Krishna is serving Arjuna here. Although it's a plan of the Lord to help the humanity. And that's why this battle is happening, because nothing can happen without the will of the Lord. If the Lord is against it, it won't happen, no matter what people do. Text number 25. "In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here." And let's read the purport. What Srila Prabhupada is saying, as the super soul of all living entities, and the super soul is the manifestation of the Lord in the material world that accompanies the individual soul, and we've spoken about it. So as the super soul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. So super soul knows everything what happens in our mind. We may think, we may pretend, we may forget, but the super soul knows. Super soul knows our conscious, subconscious, what is in the mind, what is in what is on the level of our desires and emotions. The use of the word Hrishikesha in this connection indicates that he knew everything. And the word Partha, meaning the son of Pritha or Kunti, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father, Vasudeva, so Vasudeva is the father of Krishna in the material world. Okay, and Dwapara Yuga, 5,000 years ago, Krishna came himself in his own form. And in order to appear, he came in the family of Vasudeva and Devaki because they were praying, they wanted God as their son. So he fulfilled the desire of his devotees. So Vasudeva is the father of Krishna. He had agreed to be the chariot of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not to fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking. So Krishna is feeling that Arjuna doesn't want to fight. Text number 26. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. So just imagine, Arjuna is one of the most magnificent warriors in the universe at that time. His job is to protect because he's a military person. And now he has to fight with his family members. Isn't it a tragedy for a person? It's a huge, huge trauma from all perspective. 20, text number 27. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. So now Arjuna is realizing what is expecting him, and overwhelmed with compassion means that he's feeling the pain, okay, for the future. Arjuna said, text number 28, my dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. And here you can see how Arjuna, the strongest person in the universe, is openly sharing his difficult emotions with the Lord. This is the sincerity. This is the openness of his heart. This is the, he doesn't have any false ego to pretend that I'm strong, I'm cool, I can do it, God is on my side. No, he's open, he's sincere, and he's not afraid to show the weakness of the human heart. And isn't it a huge strength of a human being, despite the highest position, he can show his feelings, his frustration, and his fears. So that's the symptom of a sincere and brave person. And what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport, any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly person or in the demigods, whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications, by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. So the lack of godly qualities means that all good is substituted by the false things. It can be pride, it can be arrogance, anything else, but not kindness, intelligence, compassion, empathy, and etc. Okay. Text number 29. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my Bhaugandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. So Arjuna is giving all of details of a person who is in traumatic situation. He's about to lose all his family members and how he's going to kill them himself. Isn't it tragic? So he is sharing his feelings and emotions. And it's a great example for us how we may feel in a critical situation when we have to do something that we don't want to do, which is might be inconvenient, might not be so critical, but still, there can be all of those feelings, and our self-awareness will help us if we admit that that's how I feel when I deal with the situation, and if we present our feelings to the Lord, because our feelings belong to the Lord, we will get the proper help from the Lord. So Arjuna is not hiding, and this is the surrendered soul, the devotion, then when the soul is open to God. Text number 30. I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kashi demons. So Arjuna is predicting a tragedy, and he's not seeing any sense in fighting, although everything was done to make the peace, and the peace was not possible because the other party wanted to continue acting in a criminal manner. Text number 31. I don't see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Although Arjuna had to inherit by law, actually, by his right, the kingdom, he doesn't want that kingdom through the means of fighting and killing. And this is again the the manifestation of the purity and devotion of the person. He's not attracted by material things. He's attracted by morale, kindness, humanity, love, care, devotion. He doesn't want any harm to happen. But what Arjuna is missing here, he's thinking about himself actually. It's his self-interest. He's not thinking about the mission of the Lord. Since it was not his desire to fight, the point that Arjuna is not understanding at that point is the spiritual perspective. What is good? Like, why is it happening? Because Lord Krishna came to help the humanity to relieve the burden of the earth from the evil personalities like Duryodhana and the other sons of Dhritarashtra, because they were creating a lot of harm. They were harming a lot. Okay. So Arjuna is missing the spiritual perspective of the situation. Text number 32 and 35 for Govinda. Govinda is another word of Krishna, which means that Krishna is the object of all pleasures for cows and the senses. And the cows are the best friends of the Lord because they are the mothers of the earth. Anyone who cannot feed their babies with their own milk, they use the milk of the cow. And cow gives through their milk all of the nutrients to the humanity. Milk can be used as fertilizer, as for creating products, for creating sweets, multiple things. So cows are very important. And another aspect of the milk that cows provide, that if the cow is loved, their milk becomes very beneficial for the intellectual development of the human being, for the brain function. And that you can read in other Vedic scriptures about it. So what does Arjuna say in text number 32, 35? O Govinda, of what avails to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield. O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of the living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange of the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Yeah. So again, Arjuna is showing his feelings and he doesn't understand why this war should happen. He is okay to leave things as they are because he's thinking that the killing will cause a lot of trouble, frustration, and etc. So he sees a very harmful act in it. Okay. Text number 36. Sin will overcome, Arjuna is continuing, sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it's not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So Arjuna is seeing it's a sinful activity, right? If he continues with the fight. Now, what Srila Prabhupada is saying, according to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors: a poison giver, one who sets the fire in the house, one who attacks with deadly weapon, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another land, and one who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. Of course, it's by the Vedic knowledge. We're not going to act in that way because there are the means here, right, how to address such situations. Then Srila Prabhupada continues, such killing of aggressors is quite befitting any ordinary man, but Arjuna was not an ordinary person. So by killing, it also means that they require punishment. It shouldn't be left as it is. Okay. Text number 3738, O Janardana, although this men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in this act of sin? Arjuna understands the nature of the people, right, and why this war is happening, but still he doesn't see any sense in fighting. Purport, what Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, a Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle. Kshatriya is the one whose duty is to protect from evil. So a Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle or gamble when he is so invited by some rival party. Under such an obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight because he had been challenged by the party of Duryodhana. In this connection, Arjuna considered that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. Arjuna, however, could see the evil consequences and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actually binding when the effect is good, but when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. And this is a very deep wisdom, and I will read it again for you. Obligation is actually binding when the effect is good, right? So in relationships, we follow the promises. And when we follow the promises, we're considered self-reliable and trustworthy. And this is an obligation. If we promise something, it becomes our obligation. Now, the obligation is actually binding when the effect is good, right? When we promise something and we believe that the effect is good, this is the obligation that has to be fulfilled. But when the effect is otherwise, as soon as we recognize that that promise would cause harmful effect, then no one can be bound. In other words, it has to be canceled. That agreement has to be canceled, right? And changed. Considering all these pros and cons, Arjuna decided not to fight. So from Arjuna's perspective, the obligation is not for the good cause, and he doesn't want to fight. Text number 39. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. So Arjuna is emphasizing here that family traditions are given to protect the family, the morale. And when the dynasty is destroyed, those eternal family traditions will not be supported anymore, which will cause devastation. Text number 40. When irreligion is prominent in the family or Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood or descendant of Vrishni come unwanted progeny. This is very applicable to the current age. So irreligion means disconnection with God. Religion means connection with God. Irreligion means something that disconnects. And what disconnects? cruelty, immoral things, lack of morale, violence, what else? Abuse. So all of this disconnects humanity from God, because God doesn't want it. God doesn't want anyone to suffer. Okay. So when irreligion is prominent in the family, so because it's not supported, the morale is not supported, the intelligence is not passed from generation to generation, if the dynasty is destroyed, right? The signs of God, which is passed by the elders, right, from again to the younger generations. So that is in danger when the dynasty is destroyed. Therefore, when irreligion is prominent in the family of Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, meaning that they are not protected. They can engage with men who don't care about the women and any of their roles as mothers, as wives, as sisters, and etc. And what that causes, it causes the degradation of womanhood. Okay, so women, they start fighting for survival, which shouldn't be there, which is the responsibility of the man. The women take that responsibility upon themselves, and that's the another way to pollute themselves, because they start carrying this burden upon themselves. Okay, related to the external world, related to the survival, related to making money, that takes them away from raising kids in love, in care, because they have to take care of other things, of the external things. Okay. Or descendant of Vrishni come unwanted progeny. And unwanted progeny is that unwanted doesn't mean that these kids were not planned, but it's just the children that cannot receive the proper care. They're called unwanted because at that time, 5,000 years ago, there were no abortions. Kids were not born as a mistake, of the relationship or unexpectedly. At that time, it was just the children. What is meant here, what Arjuna is afraid of, is that those children will not receive proper care. I mean, which means the presence of the mother, the energy of the mother, the care, love, proper education, etc. Text number 41. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family traditions. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performance for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. So Arjuna is talking about the process which is called Shraddha. Shraddha means remembering the ancestors and praying for them to the Lord, and doing the sacrifices for the sake of their souls so that they progress spiritually. And this is the responsibility of those of the generations that are alive. Okay, now what Arjuna is afraid of, he's saying that unwanted populations, so those who didn't receive proper care, the kids, right, that didn't receive proper care, that didn't receive enough attention, enough love, warmth, education, coaching, didn't see emotional, education, got emotionally disconnected to their parents because, for example, mother was somewhere outside making money instead of supporting mental and emotional development of the child. What's going to happen? Those children are going to forget the ancestors, because at the time when the mother is fighting for the survival, the child feels forgotten, not needed. And that is going to be passed, that mindset is going to be passed down to the future generations. And therefore, the ancestors that actually rely on our prayers, on our spiritual support, on our connection with the Lord, by which they benefit and bless us, they're going to go to the lower levels of existence, which is called hellish. And for the family, it's a fall down. And if you know the family constellations by Bert Hellinger, it's one of the psychological methods of resolving the issues in the families, such as abortions, divorces, loneliness. And he came to that method. He is a psychologist, and at the same time, he was a priest who came to the conclusion that there is a problem beyond the level of psychology, beyond those boundaries that psychology covers. And it's somewhere in the spiritual aspects where the generations suffer the same problem again and again. And he traveled the world to research. And through that research, he developed that method, which is called family constellations, where he determines through this method, right, how this disconnection with the ancestors actually happened and how that disconnection caused the difficult destiny of the people in the family. Okay, and those difficulties come in the form of addictions, inevitable situations, early death, disability, things like this. So therefore, Arjuna is informing, if we stop following the tradition of, praying and being connected with the Lord as spirit soul, if we lose our connection, if we lose our position spiritual, if we forget who we are, this is what's going to happen. Our ancestors will suffer, we will suffer, our kids will suffer, and will create hellish conditions, not only for our ancestors, but also for us. Text number 42. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family traditions and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. And imagine, Arjuna is talking this 5,000 years ago, and how is it applicable to our life now? Text number 43. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by the cyclic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Text number 44. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent killing our own kinsmen. So Arjuna is saying that by saving the lives of criminals, the life will be happier. Okay. So he's giving very grounded justifications, but there is another side of a problem that he's not addressing here. Text number 45. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Srila Prabhupada is explaining, it is the custom according to Kshatriya fighting's principles that unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. Arjuna, however, decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting. All the symptoms are due to soft-heartedness resulting from his being a great devotee of the Lord. So imagine, he's very kind, his heart is very soft, and at the same time, he's the strongest warrior in the universe. Imagine this combination, how rare it is. Text number 46. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on a chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So Arjuna is grieving. He is expecting a great tragedy. He doesn't understand the plan of the Lord. And of course, by the Lord's will, Arjuna is not showing his self-realization here, although he's a self-realized soul. He knows that he is a spirit soul and no one can kill a spirit soul, and that everything is a plan of the Lord, but by the will of the Lord, so that Bhagavad Gita is spoken 5,000 years ago, Arjuna is not remembering it. What Srila Prabhupada is saying here in the purport, while observing the situation of his enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge, and this is so important. Who has the qualification to receive self-knowledge? The one whose heart is not in arrogance, whose heart is not covered by false ego. I'm cool, because that false ego never surrenders to the Lord. The false ego is the replacement for the Lord. Because when a person obeys his arrogance, he thinks, oh, you are my Lord, my arrogance. I'm going to serve you, not the Lord, not the souls, not the humanity, not the world, you. And I'll do everything to satisfy you, to make you bigger. So that false ego is cruelty. It also represents that everything I like is mine, it's for me. And if I like it, I have the right to have it. So the false ego is very much visible on the side of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. And Arjuna shows the opposite qualities. He's strong, he's humble, he has a soft heart. He is very mindful, considerate, and empathetic. And he is very courageous. He's not afraid of dying, even from the hand of an enemy. He's not running away from the battlefield. He just doesn't want to kill anyone. That's how kind the devotee of the Lord is. And with such qualifications and qualities and openness to Krishna, to the Lord, okay, to such a person, Krishna opens up himself and the knowledge of self-realization. This is the end of chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. I will be happy to see you again when we read chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask them in the commentary under this video, and I will be very, very happy to answer them. So I'm ending at this point. I'm wishing you a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Hare Krishna.